Alright, hey everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to start Emacs from the terminal. Of course, to start Emacs, or to run Emacs, we need a setup. Some people make do with a keyboard, but they inevitably run into problems with their pinky fingers. So most people say you need a proper Emacs setup. You need at least the Emacs pedals down here, but you're not gonna be comfortable without a few more switches. This is a pretty small setup, all things considered. Also important, you need at least two co-programmers when you do this. Emacs requires at least pair or maybe triplet programming. Triplet programming is nice, and I have it in this case, so let's use it. So for this tutorial, it'll be a 3-man process. I'll show the view from the people doing the things at different times. So to start off, we need to turn on the laptop battery. Emacs needs to know if we're on battery power or not. We need to turn on these two switches down here. We also need to provide fuel. So the first thing we're going to do here is to start an Emacs Elisp interpreter, which will bootstrap the rest of the Emacs system for us. Before we do anything else, we also need to turn on all the keyboard keys, so I'm going to switch on the A, B, C, D, and so on buttons. I got tired of that real quick, so I've installed these nice switches up here, which turn on all the keyboard keys at once. I'm going to leave these ones off. I have enough of a setup that I don't need the dedicated key for page up, page down, and so on. So I'll leave these off. If you have page up and page down, or use page up and page down, you can turn them on up here. So now we got green all over here. That means we are ready to start the Emacs Elisp interpreter. One very important thing to note before doing that is we need to have the fire extinguisher ready in case the Elisp interpreter uses too much CPU. So we're going to start this here. We'll switch this up to start, hold the start button, and we're going to watch the CPU usage go up here of the Elisp interpreter. It's rising, that means it's going to start, and we don't want to see it above 80%, and we may have a problem. Okay, it's a little bit off. I'm going to continue. Despite that, it's going to stabilize somewhere between 60 and 80% CPU usage. Emacs reports all the usage in a per core, so this is 60-70% of one core. Now that is on, it's very important to leave this switch in the down position, otherwise none of the rest of the process will work. At this point we're ready to actually start Emacs itself. So we have two threads in Emacs that we need to run. We have the left and the right thread. So you always start with the left thread first, switch it over to left. Switch the thread starting system. Now that we have Elisp running, we can start the main thread and then hold the start button. And now the main programmer is going to watch his CPU usage gauge here. Once that reaches 20% over here, he is going to turn on turn off the inhibitor up here to run the left thread properly. And we can see things are starting up. And at this point, we're going to watch the CPU usage. It's going to increase slowly until about 80 or 70%. CPU usage, so we're going to watch that. Takes a bit of time. Emacs isn't very fast to start, unfortunately, but we get that power back once we've started it, when we have access to all of these fancy features. Alright, so now we can see it's really ramping up here, and we are reaching about between 70 and 80%. It's going to stabilize. That's good. That means the left thread has started. We can switch this dial over to the switch over to the right, leave it in start, click the start button. Same process for the right thread. That's going to make the CPU usage jump up a bit, slowly increase up to 20%. Once it reaches 20%, we go up here, flip the right thread into out of idle. We see the secondary threads powering up here as well. Everything is looking good, and we're going to wait for the thread to be started properly. So once that is done, we can make sure our gauges of fine CPU usage on the Elisp thread is still fine. Nothing looks out of the ordinary there. Nothing looks out of the ordinary there. We have a normal startup. We don't need the fire extinguisher. Everything is going well. And there we go. Both threads are now on max or on sort of started up. We need to take them out of the idle and actually start the program. We do this by spinning the lever down here, which increases the max CPU usage up to whatever we want. And we're gonna run a lot of code today, so we're gonna spin it up all the way to nearly 100%. Again, both cores, both threads, left and right thread, running at about 90 something percent. It goes down when we need it. It's going to be able to use all the way up to 100%, which is exactly what we want. Now that the main program is started, we can go back here and turn off the Elisp interpreter that we used to bootstrap the old system, because the main threads have their own Elisp interpreters. So we can switch this out of start and click off on this thread. Now we could start using the program now, but there are a few utility functions we're going to want to turn on. Emacs of course includes a fan controller, so that Emacs can automatically control the fan speed on your CPU. We're going to want that on, otherwise we risk overheating. And when I do that and this is not spinning, that means I forgot a step. So if I go up here, I need to turn on the rectifiers, the 3 rectifiers, as well as the generators, and switch that thing off. And now you can see that the fan on the left thread is running. We can turn on all the plugins and stuff that we're gonna want. I like to leave turn on a lot of stuff at this point. My third position is going to also turn on his things. Yet again, fan controller for his side, and switching all of his systems on as well. So now I think we are about to go, ready to go. I don't actually know why this is not down at 100%. That's probably fine. Do not turn off the fire extinguisher at this point. Switch these back so you don't actually start a third thread. And now you're ready to go. You can press Control, you can press Shift, and you can move around your code with this handy joystick, and of course the normal keyboard, which you can find wherever you have it. It's also very helpful to turn on the autocomplete engine down here. And I'm gonna switch these on as well. And the radio. Now, one thing I forgot in the startup process is you generally want to coordinate with the central authority of Emacs users to request startup of Emacs. The way you would do that is you put this to whatever channel your central authority is on. Then you would go ATC, and at this point I've started up already. Oh no, I can still request a startup. I'll just lie to the central authority and say I started it up. And we can also turn on this radar altimeter here, which will give us an annoying beep whenever we exceed a certain number of lines of code. It's set to 95 by default. I'm an old school person, so I'm gonna put it to 80, and I will get a nice and loud beep whenever we go over 80 lines of code. And with that, Emacs is set up. We can get ready and write some Lisp.